Hi, I'm Roger Gillespie. I'm the Director of Hospitality at Hester Creek Estate Winery, and today we're going to make fresh gnocchi for you. It's a ricotta gnocchi, light, fresh. Traditional name is gnudi. That is a little awkward for some people to say, so we're going to call it ricotta gnocchi. A great vehicle to do a number of things. Today we've got some local Spanish chorizo sausage from Two Rivers Meats. It's from the Fraser Valley, and a nice little sun-dried tomato cream sauce to go with it. But I think you'll recognize that making fresh gnocchi is quite a bit simpler than most people would think. We've got a cup of flour. We've got a cup of fresh ricotta cheese. 2 farm fresh eggs. Half a cup to a cup of Parmesan Reggiano. Always go more than less. And a teaspoonish of kosher salt, cracked pepper, that's a mixed peppercorn, and fresh garlic. And that's it. After that, you just get your hands in and get dirty. We've got some reserve flour here on the side. Because the ricotta is quite wet and produces quite a loose batter, make sure you have a good amount, more than you think you'll need, of flour. There's nothing worse than getting caught without enough flour once your hands are all coated with the ricotta mixture. So we're gonna mix it real nice. Just kind of get right in there until you get most of the flour pulling off, most or all of the flour pulling off the side of the bowl. Don't be afraid to get right in there. Try to keep one hand dry because you're gonna, well, clearly we'll wash our hands after, but. So we're gonna just basically loosely get the eggs and everything all mixed in. As you can see, it's quite wet. Spread out your reserve flour. On the side here, I've got a baking sheet and a flat edge that I will use in the process. We're gonna take about half and just loosely pull it out. And then it's really just now about working it with your hands. Pull the dough back towards yourself and roll it away. And you really don't have to be forceful at all with it. You just need to kind of be gentle, and it rolls out without much trouble at all. You can leave it kind of the thickness of whatever your preference might be. Myself, I'm about right there. And then my flat edge. You know what we'll do? We'll do the second half first. A little more reserve flour. And same process. Just nice and gentle. Don't be shy to go slower. Once you make this once or twice, it becomes super simple. Now, we grab our flat edge and just roughly cut them at about the approximate size that you'd like. And they're very easy to handle once you do that. Now we have our simple baking sheet here, and you can pull them all together and bring them all off of whatever edge you're making them on, with as much reserve flour as you can get on the pan. Once they spread out, just like so, try to make sure they're not touching each other. Socially distancing, I suppose. Not quite 6 meters. And at this point, they're gonna go into the freezer just for today's purposes for about 10-15 minutes. Just firms them up a little bit. However, when you're making a batch like that, if there's 2 of you, then this might be suitable for 4 people. You can freeze them, use what you want, and then put the other half in a Ziploc bag and freeze them for another time. You've got fresh gnocchi already in the freezer. So we've got our gnocchi out of the freezer now. Literally, it was only about 10 minutes, so it's just starting to firm up. They're actually, I find best to cook from frozen because they're firm and they hold together nicely. So we're gonna get these in the water. Once they come up to the surface and float, let them simmer for another minute or minute and a half. Some people think that once they're floating, they're done. It's nice to give them an extra 30 seconds to a minute, maybe even a minute and a half, like I said, before taking them out of the pot and putting them into this pan with a little bit of butter to brown them up a little bit, get them crispy on the outside and soft and delicious on the inside. So we'll get these in here, and then I'm going to start on the sauce. While we watch that come to a simmer. Got a beautiful stove pan here, and we're going to start with a little bit of this beautiful lemon olive oil. It's a co-pressed product from Valrosa Foods in Kelowna, our friends. Nice and fragrant. We're also going to finish with that at the end. I don't typically use this as a cooking oil because it's a little higher price point, but for you today, that's what we're doing. So we're going to turn our oven on medium heat here. First thing we do, anytime I'm making a fairly basic cream sauce and then I'm adding anything else to it later, start by layering your flavors. So start with your aromatics. And by aromatics, I mean we've got shallots, we've got garlic. Sun-dried tomatoes are an aromatic because they're full of oil. So we're trying to basically put things in the pan that's going to pull the flavor out and putting them in as it's an appropriate time for them to cook. Shallots are good to sit and caramelize and bring out delicious flavor for some time. So those are going to go in first. Garlic, on the other hand, pretty quick to burn. You know, we don't want the garlic in the pan for any real more than 30 seconds or so. So you're going to hear that starting to work. This nice induction stovetop is quite quick. I'm going to give that about 20-30 seconds longer. They're cut pretty fine, so I can already start to smell the beautiful aromas there. I've got these Spanish chorizo sausages from Two Rivers Meats that I referenced. They are 80% done already. So it's a Spanish style pork sausage, all organic. I'm going to fire those back in the oven to finish them off for about 10 minutes here. So the shallots have probably had enough time. Little garlic. No shortage of that at Hester Creek. Looking forward to our garlic festival this late September. Sun-dried tomatoes will go in because they provide a nice oily texture to keep that garlic from burning too quickly. Also these nice artichoke hearts, also from Valrosa Foods, as well as the sun-dried tomatoes. Look at that beautiful jar of sun-dried tomatoes. To me, sun-dried tomatoes can go in everything. They're such a beautiful ingredient. Artichoke hearts are going to go in there. And we're going to let that just caramelize on the bottom of the pan for a few minutes. Before which we have to have some wine on the side a little bit to cook with here. Because we're pairing this with the Trebbiano, we're obviously going to use the Trebbiano to cook with. But at home, just use whatever dry white wine you have. My kind of rule of thumb is simply, if it's not good enough to drink, don't cook with it. If you can't enjoy it, consuming it, don't put it in your food. Some people will let a bottle of wine sit on their counter for a month or two and think it's okay to cook with. If it's not okay to drink, don't cook with it. So the gnocchi now has been floating for some time, about a minute or so. We're going to get that in the pan here with some butter. And while we're building the rest of our sauce, we're just going to keep that moving around so it doesn't stick. Right now this mixture could use a little drink. You can hear that just bringing all that beautiful caramelization of shallot and sun-dried tomatoes and garlic off the bottom of the pan and into the sauce. Won't take long, maybe 30 seconds, 45 seconds for that wine to reduce by about half, leaving only the flavor, cooking the alcohol off. And with that, now we've got about a half a cup of heavy cream that we're going to put in there. Just mix it in nicely. The sun-dried tomatoes do have a fair amount of natural salt to them. And so I'm not going to season the dish until right towards the end. I prefer to season towards the end so that all the natural salts, if there are any in the food, can come to the forefront so you're not over seasoning. Okay, so we're going to let that simmer for a little bit, and the gnocchis are going to brown for a little bit, and then we're going to come back and put it all together. Okay, so our gnocchi, as you can see, has got, you can hear it singing on the pan there. It's got some nice little brownness going on, nice crispy beautifulness going on there. The sauce is pretty much ready. I'm gonna, after tasting it there, I'm just gonna put about a teaspoon of salt, a little hit of mixed peppercorns, a mixture of spinach and kale, after which, right on top, the gnocchi can just go in the pan. Everything you can get out with it. All that flavor, you don't want to leave anything in the pan if you can help it. Now we're just going to move it around. Gently turn the heat down a little bit. And the intention is not necessarily to completely reduce the greens. You just want to, the spinach is clearly going to break down a little quicker. All that nice water, but then you just get a nice rustic look. For me, this is nice rustic Italian. You can see the delicious oiliness of this sausage. It's got a mild spice, which is why what we've chosen to pair with today is the Trebbiano. A dish like this can go a number of different ways. Number one rule, drink what you like. Pairing is only a suggestion, so take suggestions for what they're worth. But drink it with Hester Creek wine. So we've got our sausage all mixed in there now. Our Trebbiano, it's our 2019 Trebbiano, got really nice acid, which as I put the artichoke hearts in there, is a nice complement. The acid cuts through some of the fatness and richness of the sausage and the cream. Slightly off dry, which helps with the spice in the sausage as well. So hoping you'll enjoy that as far as a pairing. Really diverse wine. You can go with many things. So when we're bringing that, lastly, just hit it with some nice grated Parmesan Reggiano. Mix that in. We're just going to turn it out on the plate. Making sure you get kind of a nice amount of color, some protein, a couple little chunks of Parmesan Reggiano on the top. There's nothing more savory than that. Little hit of this beautifully cold pressed lemon olive oil, and voila. So here we have our Spanish chorizo sausage with handmade ricotta gnocchi, sauteed spinach and kale, sun-dried tomato, and artichoke hearts paired with our 2019 Trebbiano. Love to take a moment just to thank everybody for your continued support of Hester Creek Estate Winery and the entire British Columbia wine industry. These times are challenging, and our friends and family have meant a lot to us. So from myself and our entire team, cheers.